Welcome, guys. Truth About Him podcast, #1 podcast for men's health and wellness. I'm Anthony.
I'm Barron.
Welcome back to this week's show. So this week's show is a pretty good one. We came off last week, our 20th episode. So we're back, and we're going to talk about it's all his fault.
It's all his
right?
fault.
It's all his fault. So what does that mean, B?
We always reference this in other episodes where we're always talking about we have a lot, we deal with a lot. We battle ourselves,
right.
and we the world beats us up, and then on top of us. So the question is, what the hell are we talking about? Like, what is it that we're always thinking about? What is it, the things that are on our minds that weigh us down?
Right.
And that's what it's all our fault. It's all about. We're going to talk about the things that we think about, that hold us back, that maybe even pushes us to do greater things, and then we're gonna have some statistical facts to kind of back that up. So, it's we have a lot. We deal with a lot. We were talking about it this week. We were saying how 90% of the things that go wrong in a family, or most of the things that go wrong in a family, somehow relates to the man and it being our fault. If you see, for example, we were talking about young men that you see maybe out in pants sagging and talking disrespectful, just talking really reckless, like no adults are around. First thing I ask is, where's your dad at? Where's your father at?
Right.
And on the flip side to that, the same thing we see little girls walking around, or young ladies walking around, and they are half naked, talking reckless, just out here just wilding in these streets. Where's your daddy at? Right. You had no father. Where's your father at? Because your father would have curved all of that. And
A good father
would have curved all of that.
Actually, I guess you can question what a good father is too, right? I mean,
it's all subjective, right?
It's all subjective.
Because if a good father is somebody that's providing, but he's never present, is that a good father? To that person, he thinks he's good because that family wants for nothing. They are provided for, but there's no presence there.
Right.
So, here's a question I propose: is our presence more important than what we provide financially? So is our presence in the house just as important or more important than what we provide financially?
So I would say 1,000%, right? Because money is something that you can get back, or it's replenishable, right? Time is not. Right. I always go back to the story that your friend talked about on the mantle, and I forgot his name. Maybe it was Robert, the guy you ran track with. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching the show. I want to take a real quick break and tell you about our new online community called The Game of Life. Now, this is a community of men where we get together every single day, 24/7 online, and talk about what men go through. Talk about family, fitness, fortitude, finance, everything that has to do with men's health. We got you, right? You want to get in shape? We got you. You want to have a better mindset? We got you. You want to make money? We got you. So right now the community is online and it's free. Right now it's free. So it won't be for long, but join the conversation right now. Click the link in the description right now and join our community of men who are out there making things happen. All right. We'll see you on that side. Now back to the show.
Yep, Robert. Shout out to Robert.
Right. Shout out to Robert. So he said that no matter what, at every track meet, he can look up and see his dad there, and
like clockwork,
and that'll make him perform better.
Yep.
Right. So what if his dad just sent him there in a limo or a private jet or whatever? You just be extreme, right? Would that be more memorable than my dad being there? So I would say no, because money is something that you can get back and you can regenerate, but time you can't. You can't go back to a 16th birthday. You can't go back to a track meet. You can't go back to a basketball game. You can't go back to any of that, right? You cannot.
Nope.
But if you lose a car, a house, or whatever, you can get that back. So I would say 1,000% that presence is more important than money. Now a really, I'm trying to choose my words here correctly. A really, I guess, a smart father, a smart man will give their kids both, right? the resources financially and the resources as far as time. Give us both, because I say to people all the time, I'm a firm believer that we serve a God of abundance, right? And there's no reason why we should act in lack. Like we have to choose if we want this or want that, or we should have this or have that.
Right.
God is a God of abundance, so we can have what we want, but we have to do it correctly. So I believe that we can have both the time spent and the financial resources to actually be able to spend that time. But because I know that a lot of fathers miss games and miss birthdays because they're working to provide. I understand that, because we have to do that.
I missed a lot of basketball games. Yep.
Yeah, I've missed some too. But is it because we can't be there, we don't be there, or it's not a priority to us? But if we can, let's make it a point. A few years ago, we were at my daughter's high school. They had a senior night for the girls for basketball, and
good old senior night.
And on senior night, what happens is that every senior night, but the kids write letters to the people who most influenced them over their career, right? So one girl said, "Hey, you know what? I want to thank my mom and dad for being at every single game, traveling, whether I was home or away, that they were there for me recording every game." Now, that's something that's very, very memorable. And I know my answer was long to this question, but I want to make it a point how your presence trumps everything. Listening to Jason Williamson, and he was saying that sometimes my son is like 16, 17 years old. Sometimes I just walk in his room and just lay on his floor. We don't talk. I walk in there because I want to be present for him in case anything comes up, so he can feel me. So he didn't say whatever. he didn't say that I went in there and dropped $100 on the floor. Right. I put myself on the floor so I can be in his presence. So presence to me is far more important and valuable than actual money.
I don't disagree with that. I'm a firm believer in being present in your kid's life, and I think when you are present, it makes you wiser on providing for your kids, because some parents just want to just like you said, just throw money at the kid, just throw things at the kid, but you're not necessarily impacting that kid's life because you're not using wisdom or discernment in figuring out their needs versus their wants. You're just just whatever you want. Here you go. And now you're putting a crutch on that kid. You're enabling that kid to think that whatever he wants, he should have. Not whatever he wants, he should. If I want it, I should have it.
Right.
And so if I don't have the means to get it, then in my mind I'm still thinking that I have every right to have that. So now I'll just take that with me. So you are supporting and enabling bad behavior that's going to snowball to that kid's lifestyle, and by the time that kid's an adult, you put a whole crutch on that kid. So by being there in the present, you get to figure out what that kid truly needs from you, emotionally, financially, spiritually. You know what that kid needs because there's time that's invested.
Right.
Like we said, we can't get time back. Right. It's the only thing that we waste, and we can't get it back. You can, like you said, we can go out here right now and burn $100 and
same day get it back.
Yep, and get it back. So, but we can't burn an hour and be like, oh man, I wish I had that hour back. We can't do that.
Nah, not at all.
When people are on their deathbed, I never heard anybody say, "Oh, I wish I had more money," or "I wish that." They want more time.
Yeah,
they want to have more time with their kids. They want to have more time with their loved ones. They never say, "Oh, I wish I would have threw an extra grand at my son." Yeah. I wish I would have threw an extra grand at. They could care less about that.
Yeah,
you can't replace that time. So it's very important that we're present in our kids' lives. So, I mean, that's when I feel like we kind of got off subject a little bit, but
I think he's right on.
He's right on.
I think he's right on, honestly, because I was talking to someone yesterday, and their grandmother passed away, and she was saying how her grandmother wanted to make it to her next birthday, and that was more time.
Right, just time.
Because someone else passed away, and they made it to their birthday. Would say, "Well, wow! I mean, if I can make it to my next birthday, so time is so important." And there's this. I mean, I don't think we got off topic, but I think it like goes along with what we're saying.
Yeah.
Is that how our kids turn out is, shout out to all moms because moms are doing their thing, right?
Love you, moms.
And if you look at the stats on how kids are raised, and how they turn out, and I read something that really baffled me, right? And it said that when a child is raised in a single parent home with a mother and no father versus a child raised in a home with a father and no mother, if it's just the father, it's the exact same impact of a two-parent household.
Interesting.
Versus just the mother raising that child by herself. I was like, whoa, right? And
that's either son or daughter.
Son or daughter. It's both. It's like it's if a single dad raising their child is just as impactful as that child being raised in a two-parent household. And it's like, why is that? Why is a father's presence and I'm trying to say this, to not to offend anybody.
Right.
Why is a father's presence more impactful or has such a long lasting lasting, what's I'm looking for? Effect on a child's life.
Right.
Why do they become more successful? Why are they more disciplined? And I really don't know why. All right. Help me with that.
So we can think about it like this. We both have daughters.
Right.
And we've both I'm pretty much done raising my daughter, but we're still, in their lives. And one thing I can think of is, like we said, shout out to moms. I'm glad that she has her. I've always told my daughter, your mom's going to be the most important person in your life as you get older. But she's also a daddy's girl. Like, she's a legit daddy's girl. She will hop in the car and we could just roll to whatever. And she's like, okay, let's go. But I'm so concerned with, as men, things that we're concerned about with our kids. You tell me if I'm wrong. Our actions, we watch how we interact with other women. Because our daughters are looking at that. We watch how we carry ourselves because we want our daughters to pick suitable mates.
Right.
We watch how like I've taken my daughter out on dates because I want her to realize and know how to be treated when she goes out on dates.
Right.
Things of that nature. Like I'm really super intentional on her seeing me. Like, she's never gonna see me just laying around the house.
Right.
Because I don't want her to ever think that that's acceptable for her man to just lay around the house all day. And if he's sick or something like that, it's a different story. But
it might be his lifestyle.
It can't be his lifestyle.
Right.
So I'm intentional on how I speak to her mother in front of her because I want her to see healthy interaction. I want her to see how to communicate with your significant other, and she should learn from that. I always tell her that we as fathers are the cliff notes for our daughters in choosing their mates. If they have questions about, well, Dad, why is he X, Y, Z, or why doesn't he do X, Y, Z? And I feel that he should, and stuff like that. And she comes to me with these things, and it's all about communication. And how you say things is just as important or as much as important as what you say.
Yeah.
So those little things, I think, make it's more impactful.
Right.
For present fathers raising their kids, because we've seen what the world, especially if we came up in an era where we had no fathers.
Yeah.
24/7 in our lives.
Right.
So that, in essence, is an example of how to be a good father, because you do the things that you didn't have. You do the things that you always wanted to see, but you never got it. So just do them. That's the perfect example of how to be a good father, regardless of if you didn't have one or not. And you're doing it. You do it.
Yeah, I was thinking. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, like, some people get lucky, right? Some people get lucky in that they don't fall victim to the statistics, right? And like, I'm one. I was raised with my mother by herself. You know, she had 3 kids, and I think I turned out okay, right? You know, but
minus the red, but it's okay.
Minus the red. You see, the red's gonna stay, my brother. So, but I also think that I came from a point where I had a mother who was assertive, who was strong, and who actually had to be both, right? But then at some point, she can only take me to as far as what she knew, right? As a mother or father. So at that point, I believe that everybody, once they hit like a plateau, they start to search for more. And if they listen to that calling, at that point they will become better and find and start searching and studying. And you know what, this is what's out there for me, right? And then it's a trip because not having a father in my life really made me be a better father, if that makes sense, right?
I completely understand
that.
Yep.
Because one, I know how it feels to in a sense be discarded, right? Or not to feel like I wasn't wanted or valuable. I know that sadness, right? So I'm like, you know what? I would never want my kids to feel that sadness. So, and also at a point, I know that I can be overbearing in a sense, right? Because I think I'm doing so much, but I'm doing too much, right? So really, I had to sit back and evaluate. But yeah, I mean, some people can be those lucky ones who, despite their upbringing, they overcame and decided. Because I mean, let's read these stats, right? Let's read these stats, and you know. I didn't pass second grade, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and read these. But there was an article by Dr. Miles Monroe. I believe it wasn't by him, but he read it. It was called "Dad is Destiny." Right, and talks about the importance of fatherhood, the importance of fathers being there, the importance of men standing up and being real, true dads. Right. And this is not the article, but some of these stats came from the article, and just read some of these stats to everybody about what happens when there's an absent father. What could happen?
So this is an article from American First Policy Institution, and fatherless children are, let's see here, 70% of juveniles in the state operated institutions come from single parent homes.
75%.
70%.
70%.
70%.
Okay.
Most adolescents who enter the justice system have suffered from parental abandonment, substance abuse, or a dysfunctional household. That is crazy. A father's absent as a protector is robust in both men and female violence. So basically,
read that one again. That's a big one.
Yep. So I'm gonna read it and then I'll break it down. Father's absence as a predictor of violence is robust for male and female violence.
Wow.
So if you were a child and you're in your home and your father was violent, either verbally or physically, you saw that as a sense of normal. And as a child, you grow up and you think that that's normal. It's okay for me to yell at my significant other. It's okay for me to grab her and shake her and do whatever it is. It's okay because that's what I've seen.
Read it again because I heard it a different way.
Father's absence as a predictor of violence is robust for both male and female violence. So
I heard what you're saying, and I agree with that. But to me, that's saying that because the father wasn't there, that made the male or female, the child, more prone to violence.
And that's interesting because, again, my favorite question is why. No father means I'm more violent.
I think it's anger, right? I think that you have this anger inside you. I mean, because I had it, and anger is a secondary emotion, right?
Yeah.
So what's the first thing you feel? And it's like hurt, because me, I was like, wow, this fucking dude does not want me,
Mm-hmm.
right? He doesn't. I was discarded, and whether you're an infant, whether you're a toddler, whether you're a teenager, whether you're an adult, who wants to feel not wanted?
Right.
Nobody.
Shit hurts. Yeah.
That shit hurts.
Yep.
So feeling not wanted, made me more angry, made me want to lash out, made me want to say, you know what? If I'm not wanted, then I'm pissed off. Not to mention that I'm just hurt. Right?
Right.
I'm going directly to anger. So
Right.
I think that's what it is.
I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, yeah. I mean, it could be I'm angry because I have no male figure.
Yeah.
Also, we could also, as fathers, be the thermostat in our household.
Right.
Meaning that we can control, like if my son is, getting angry over, I don't know, let's just say video games or what have you.
Right.
You go in there as a father and say, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you why are you tripping on a video game?" And, well, you don't understand, and you coming at you hot like we don't. Whoa, but you don't understand. I just scored. I just let him go. This is a video game, son. Why are you tripping? This isn't real.
Right.
Like you have to put things in perspective, and if he never got checked, that's just going to grow into something bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think we're supposed to, as fathers, we're there to check. We got to check the temperature in our household.
Yeah. I think I'm sure you've heard. I mean, Kendrick's one of your favorite artists, but Kendrick has a song called "Daddy Issues," right? And he talks about how his dad pushed him. His dad, despite what mom says, let him rest. Like no, you're gonna go. You're gonna be pushed. You're gonna be disciplined. You're gonna do all these hard things. And at the end of the song, it's like, I thank my dad because I wouldn't be where I am today, because of my dad. The same thing was said by Jason Tatum. Right, the same thing. It's like that dude pushed me, and there are some extremes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He pushed me. He embarrassed me. He cursed me out. He pushed me to the ultimate level. But I'll tell you this: even though I didn't like that, I would not be a top 5 NBA player if it wasn't for my dad.
And he probably wouldn't change it for the world either.
He wouldn't.
No.
He wouldn't. So like my son, right? My son. I'm put on blast. Right? I got a call from his teacher saying that he's missing 11 assignments. 11 assignments. And I'm like, son, why are you missing 11 assignments? This and that, this and
Excuses.
this. Yeah. I'm like, bro, look. I'm like, I get it. Either two things: you didn't know how to do it, or you didn't want to do it, or they were both. Pick one, right? It was both. I'm like, okay. As you guys say, Dad, I didn't know how to do it, so I didn't do it, but I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna get it done. Like all these excuses don't work. All these excuses won't get you through life, right? Because if you excuse now, you're gonna make excuses for the rest of your life, and you're gonna see how that gets you.
Yep.
So I think that's important. It's an important role for us as fathers is to make sure our sons and daughters are prepared for life, right?
Absolutely.
And know exactly how to navigate. And like my kids, they're into sports, right? There's a trainer that they absolutely dislike because he's stern, he's mean, he curses, not at them, but as he's training, right? And they're scared to go there. But this guy has produced several D1 players for both boys and girls, right?
So there's proof right there.
There's proof, but they're so afraid of going to him. Like the one of the top players at Atlanta High School went to this guy, and now she's going D1, right? So I'm like, you cannot be scared of someone challenging you. You cannot be scared of someone pushing you past your limit. You can be, you know what, you can be scared, but do it anyway. Fear is part of life.
Yep.
Right, but the cure for fear is to do it anyway. Take action.
Take
so
courage.
I'm like, if you guys want to quit basketball, I'm cool with that. But if you don't, you want to do it, you're going to go and you're going to be the best. I'm taking you there. All right.
I kind of like how you put it too. Like, you want to quit, you can quit.
Yeah.
Like, but just know that it's just key words. Like, you can quit, but just know that you're quitting something. You know, you're letting outside something external force you to quit.
You're gonna quit every hard thing in your life. You're gonna quit.
You're gonna quit, and you're gonna be labeled as a quitter. So
by me,
because I'm and I think that's what we as fathers we are. You know, we love mothers. We honor mothers. One day we'll do an episode just honoring mothers, but there are nurturers, they're protectors. That's my baby. That's that's
facts.
I can't imagine having a baby. I cannot imagine having that bond, having something grow inside of you, and then you give birth to a living human being, and this person is going to go on to do great things. I can't imagine how that feels, but I can see how you would be protective, and that's my baby. I understand that.
And that's okay.
And that's completely
that's why you need
okay.
both.
That's why you need both.
Right.
Because you're not going if your child is going to come to you and say, I don't want to go to that trainer because he's difficult. He's rough around the edges.
Right.
He curses at me is what they'll say to get their way. Because kids know how to talk to.
Yeah.
I give kids props. They know how to talk to each parent to get the answer that they want. Yeah. But that's how they're going to talk to their mom. Well, mom, he curses at me, and I'm coming home every day, and I'm extremely sore. I can barely get up in the morning and go to school, and it's just really difficult for me in the morning. Well, baby, just go ahead and quit. It's okay. Right. It's your dad that's going to be like, those are excuses, right? And he's not cursing at you. I've been there. I've seen it. He's not cursing at you. Right. So let's eliminate that excuse right now. Mm-hmm. Is it too difficult for you? Do you want to quit because everybody else isn't quitting on you? Do you even want to play basketball anymore? So we take them down this road of like, I love that. Damn, I don't necessarily, I'm not. So there's the answer to your question. You still want to quit? Yeah. Or you just won't go. This is about as far as you're going to go. Right. So... And that's a reality.
Be okay with that,
and be okay with
because
that.
Going to the next level requires It requires you to be sore, to be tired, to not want to go. So I tell people this. I'm like, if whether it's in sports, it's in business, it's in marriage, life, whatever. If you have not gotten to the point in whatever you do that you want to quit, you have not worked hard enough.
Exactly.
Right? And like you have not worked yourself. Like, what I've done, I want to quit, and if you do that, it's for you. Right. So I tell my kids, hey, you got to push past all of that, because life in general, not just sports, life in general is a 90% mental game, mm-hmm. right? Physical is 10%, right? If you master this up here, you can accomplish anything.
And I think that's what we tell people is like, we can teach all the skills of how to earn this. We can teach all the skills of how to grow your business this way, how to get revenue this way. Mm-hmm. But if your mind doesn't allow you to even think that you can do it, it's wasted. That's a waste of time. Right. So it's the same way for us teaching our kids is, through sports, through whatever they are doing in their young lives, we attach that and we mirror that with real life grown-up experiences. Right. We say, as you get older, you're gonna have a job, or you're gonna work with people you don't get along with. Right. But they are your proverbial teammate. Right. So you have to learn how to be professional and be a good teammate, regardless of your personal feelings for that person. Mm-hmm. So now they're learning how to deal with people through sports. They're learning how to deal with people through school activities. Right. I don't get along with this person, but we got a project to do together. Right. And I can't stand him or her. Right. But you got a project to do together, and both of you guys' grades depend on it. Right. Teacher could care less if you like each other or not. Right. Same with your boss could care less if you like each other or not. You're here to do a job. How many championships did Kobe and Shaq win not liking each other? Oh, not liking each other. Not liking each other. Well, put it like this: how many could they have won if they would have stayed together? Because they broke up because they didn't really care to be around each other too much. But they won like 3. They won like 3 because on the court they knew that this is business. It's just business. Let's get this done, and then after the court, we're cool. We're cool. You go your way, I go my way. But it's professionalism. Let's give them some more stats. Let's see. What's a good one? Oh, here's a good one. In a study of 75 juvenile delinquents, 66 experienced fatherlessness. 20% have never lived with their father. That's crazy. And 25% had an alcoholic father.
I wonder what the difference is between fatherlessness and living without their father. Like, what's the difference?
Fatherlessness, I would say, living without your father. So father's not in the picture, obviously. Yeah. Fatherlessness is maybe father is in the picture, but again, he's probably a heavy drunk, or he's at the bar, or he's at the casinos, or he's never really at home. And when he is at home, he's in his office. Let's just say he's not really even a drunk, but he's just in his office, probably watching something he shouldn't be watching, or just not being present in that and not giving guidance. I look at parenting as this. This is the easiest way I can put it. Our job as parents is to clear the runway, clear the ice, clear the rain, clear the debris off the runway so that our kids as planes can take off and have a smoother takeoff. So they can't take off if there's a whole bunch of stuff on the road.
Right.
But if we remove that out of the way and get that runway just as clear for our kids to just be able to thrive and take off, that's our job as parents.
Right.
And when you don't do that, yet you're still there, think about how frustrating it would be if we've seen a cleanup crew. We're on a flight, and there's a cleanup crew on the runway, and they're just standing there ready to clean. They have all the tools they have, but they're just standing there doing absolutely nothing.
Right.
And that's making our takeoff delayed first, and it's making it super harder for us to take off to where we might run into anything.
Yeah.
We might blow a tire. We might blow, any type of landing equipment, anything. So just seeing that group of people ready to clear that off, it's the same way of seeing your father in your house, but he's not guiding you.
Yeah.
He's not giving you wisdom. He's allowing you to hang out with people you shouldn't be hanging out with.
Right.
He's not telling you coming home at 2:00 in the morning when you're 14 is too late.
Yeah.
He's not giving you boundaries. He's not giving you structure.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. And a kid won't realize that until the world teaches them that what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
So,
you know what the trick part of that is that if there's a father that's not there, or a father that's physically there but emotionally absent, everything that you explained, right? The trick part is that it's my dad, it's my dad's fault. It's his dad's fault. It goes back generations, right?
Yep.
Because that's what happened with my father. My grandfather hated my father. Like despised. That's his son,
right?
And he hated my father. And then going back into and talking about my family history and talking about what happened, my grandfather's father hated him, right? So it's like they trickled down, or they taught their son exactly what their father taught them. Well, I hate you, so damn, fathers are supposed to hate their sons.
It becomes their normal.
Right? It becomes their normal. So, this stuff goes back. So when we say it's his fault, yes, it's his fault because that's what he was taught. Right. That's what he's seen. And unfortunately, most men think that what they were taught, the negativity, is how you live out and move in life.
Exactly.
But it's not.
And it's rare.
So I know you're enjoying the podcast, but I want to stop real quick and tell you about Barron's book, The Bro Code of Confidence. Now, men need confidence. Men need resilience. Men need to have a sense of purpose, but we don't always have that, right? We sometimes get stuck in figuring out who we are and what we need to do. The Bro Code is the perfect book to get you unstuck, to make things simpler so we can gain confidence and be resilient. Get the Bro Code, click the link in the description, get the Bro Code. Now back to the show.
What's the best way? I would say now in 2025 that it's a lot less common now. The fathers are a lot more present now despite not having fathers, because we know how it feels,
Right.
and B, we see what the world is coming to, and we don't want our kids. We want our kids to thrive. We want our kids. We don't want our kids. I know I personally don't want my kids to be typical, and I want them to strive for greatness, whatever it looks like in their eyes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And for me, it wasn't necessarily like that. There was colleges I should have went to that I didn't go to because maybe I didn't maybe I didn't want to leave my mom at that particular time.
Right.
I didn't want to travel to a whole nother coast and be away from my family. But that was around the time I was making college decisions without my dad.
Yeah.
He wasn't there for me to, I believe if he would have been there, he would have pushed me to go to Rhode Island. I would have been, I would have went to Rhode Island University, no problem. But it was my mom that was like, it's too cold. You're too far. I don't want you all the way out there. And I'm like,
Let me ask you this. If your dad would have pushed you to go to Rhode Island, would you have the life you have today? Would you have the wife and kids you have today?
I don't know. If I would have, nope, because I would have been gone for 4 years.
Right.
So no,
Right.
I don't think anything that I have right now, I would have had if I would have went to Rhode Island. Yeah. So in essence, my kids wouldn't be here. You know, I damn sure wouldn't have my wife.
Yeah.
So,
and I ask that question because, you know, we are, you know, even approaching, you know, 50 and going back into my 40s, it's the common theme in society is that only women have daddy issues. I'm like, that's not true because as a man in his 40s, I had daddy issues, right? I had daddy issues, and I'm thinking, well, you know, if my dad would have been here, would I have avoided some of the mistakes that I made? And I'm like, yes, but no, right? Because if he would have been here looking at his lifestyle, if I would turn out like him, I would not be sitting here with you right now.
Right.
I will be in a much worse place. So sometimes based on who that man is, that person is, it's a gift to you that he wasn't there because your life would have turned out a lot different for the worse. Now, it's important to have positive male influence in your life, but you don't necessarily need to have a father there for you to be successful because, again, at times that man will lead you down the wrong path and you end up just like him.
I would say it depends on, like we said, it depends on the father.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't say if you didn't have your father, your life would turn out. It would just depend on the type of father. And in every father, whether it's good or bad, has left you an example on how to be a good father. I don't subscribe to that. I don't know how to be a good dad because my dad was never there.
Right.
Well, that's where you start right there. How about
you start right there, right?
Be there for your kid. Be present for your kid. That's a great start. Now, what else did your dad do for you? Oh, he didn't tell you how proud he was of you? Guess what you got to do now?
Number 2.
Tell your kids how proud you are of them. For whatever reason. But I think as we get older, we kind of understand. Like for me, when I just mentioned it, did your father tell you how proud they were of you? I hardly heard that from either one of my parents, whether they were there or not. And it was something I always wanted. And I'm like, damn, I wish I would have had. Yeah. I don't know, this is as a young adult. I'm in my 20s and early 30s, and I'm like, I'm doing all of this. I'm accomplishing these milestones, and nobody ever told me that they were proud of me. Never told me, never showed me, never said anything to me. I wish I would have had that. Then as I got older, I'm like, well, would you rather them have been in your ear, holding your hand, coddling you, and telling you, hey, son, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, and not take care of you and not work? And, you know, my mom and they were present, but they had to work.
Right.
You know, she had to work, and she had to be both at times mother and father. So, yeah, I can't I can't expect her to do all of that. So
yeah.
as you get older, you understand that your parents worked with what they had, with whatever limited information or whatever they had at that particular time. That's what they worked with, and that's the best that they had, and you are the outcome of that.
Yeah.
And take a look at yourself and see where you are. I don't feel like I'm not that bad, and
yeah,
I'm all right. I mean, you know, our kids are okay. I'd rather have a fish, but but I make it a point to tell my kids, you know, I'm proud of them. I'm happy to see that they're doing this. I support you, and you know, so the things that you didn't necessarily see from your parents, you just flip that.
Yeah.
And you become what they say, become the change that you want.
Yeah.
You just become the parent that you've always wanted to see for your kids. And that makes you break the cycle. That makes you break that generational curse. So hopefully I'm always surprised at how close me and my son are. And then I'm always surprised at how much of a daddy's girl my daughter is. And I thought that she would change as she got older, you know, get into relationships, and you know, okay, you're not gonna need your father anymore, so okay, let me protect my feelings and just be like, okay, well, you grown, you gonna do you. She's like, no, daddy. I'm like, okay, well, okay, well.
I remember we had an event at the cigar lounge. She walks in and she's upset. Right, because I guess she's worried about her grandparents.
Right.
She walks in, she's upset. She's like, you know what? I don't feel well, but I just came to hear you speak. I know hearing my dad speak will make me feel better.
Yeah. I remember that.
Come on, Barron. I'm like, dang, you know, but that's how it's supposed to be, right? Yeah. And however you grew up with your father, if he was there or not there, let's just say he wasn't there, right? He wasn't there physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever. You know, he was absent. One thing that you have to do to get through that and make sure that your life is successful is that you have to forgive. You cannot hold this man to his actions because he only did what he knew how to do.
Yep.
He had no clue how to be a father because more than likely he had no example or a bad example of a father.
Yep.
So you have to move forward and you have to forgive because that's the first thing you have to do is that if you want your life to be better, right? Because that's what I had to do. I wrote this man a letter saying, this is how I feel, but you know what? I forgive you because you didn't know because I saw your dad. I saw how he treated you, so I can't blame you for not knowing. Right? I can't blame you for not taking action because you didn't know any better, right? So you have to forgive your father, whether he was there or not there, but just forgive, and I promise you do that, your life will start to.
It's so much beauty on the other side of forgiveness. Right. That was told to me decades ago. You got to learn to forgive. I'm like, I'm not forgiving Jack. Like I remember this, I remember that, I remember whoop de whoop, I remember this, I remember everything. I'm not forgiving Jack. Right. But as I got older and I matured, even when I said I forgave, I didn't forgive. So I think we really got to be That's intentional. When you forgive somebody, really forgive them. Right. And be honest with yourself and saying, I forgave that person, because when you finally are genuine and 100% honest with yourself and that person, once you forgive them, oh my God, it is so much beauty on the other side of that. Like, me and my pops was so close after. Like, he was like, all right, you know, whatever our history was, that's what it was, but I'm here now, and I'm not wasting any more time. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I still remember whoop-de-whoop and blah, blah, blah. And he was still like, okay, I'm glad you remember whoop-de-whoop and blah, blah, blah. But guess what? I'm still here. I'm still here. And it took me.
That takes a lot.
It took me to really forgive him and be like, you know what? Bro, we damn near, we both old. Yeah. but I really forgave him, and we really had a genuine conversation, and it was so much peace on the other side of that forgiveness. So I would, regardless of who it is, parent, child, whoever it is, genuinely forgive people, because there's so much weight that you carry when you hold on to that stuff and you don't let it go and move forward. And you think that you let it go, but yet it's still the slightest little thing that happens against how you think it should happen. You go right back to, you fall right back to level one of, it should have been this, I should have did. I remember this day specifically, it rained and you did this and you did. That's too much energy, bro. That's just way too much energy. So,
and people don't forgive because they want that person to suffer and remember what happened. And when you don't forgive, it's not just them that's suffering, you're suffering as well too. Forgiveness is for you.
Yep.
You have to make sure that you're good, because I heard the most awesome saying of forgiveness I've ever heard in my life. It says unforgiveness is like you drinking poison and hoping they get sick. Right?
Right.
Doesn't work, because that unforgiveness is living in you. Right. Like, you are creating so much energy, so much negativity in you, and it's slowly killing you.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So the forgiveness is more for you than for them, because I guarantee if someone that has some sense know that they did something to you, I guarantee they're feeling bad about what they did.
Right.
And because there's so much negative energy between you and them, they don't have the courage to say, you know what, I fucked up, because they're saying in defense mode. Well, I got to defend myself and say, this is why I did it. This is why I wasn't there.
Right.
It was your mama. It's like, no.
They built this whole wall.
Yep. They want to be, okay, I'm sorry, but there's so much friction going back and forth. Mm-hmm. So if you open up and forgive, you guys can start to have a conversation about what happened and then start to heal from there. Right? Forgiveness, there's so much healing in forgiveness, but look at it more of, I'm going to heal myself.
Right.
Right?
Right. And I think that's what people have to realize. Like, you can't work on anybody. You can't control nobody but yourself.
Right.
So why not work on yourself?
Right.
Even if it's something that happened to you because of somebody else, what did it do to you? How did it affect you? Mm-hmm. And work on that, and work on that, because sometimes too we hold so much animosity towards people who don't even think about it like that. Like, they're living their lives. Right. They are, they don't even know that you're affected the way you are, and they're just moving in.
They ain't thinking about you.
They're not thinking about you at all. They're not in that way of, I can't believe I did this to them. You all frowned up and all. You all tight and all this energy that you just whoa. But you can't be. That was
that was a pauser.
That wasn't pause worthy.
But yeah, it was
a little bit. But you can't. You got to forgive for yourself so that you can be free to live your life and move on and not be stuck in the mud, so to speak. So
because when you don't forgive, you're in. There's so much emotion behind that,
right?
And it builds up. And for those of you that don't know, emotions is energy in motion, right? So you have so much energy that you're building up, and eventually you're going to pop and crack, right? So just practice that. It takes practice. We know that this is not an instantaneous one-day thing. After you watch this podcast, I forgive. No, we know that.
Yeah, it's a process.
But just start to think and process and practice forgiveness.
Exactly. For yourself. Yeah,
right.
Definitely
First start with the person that flipped you off on the freeway. You know what? They had a bad day, they maybe they're late for work or have to have their wife or whatever, right? Just make up a story and make sure it's a good story, right?
Right.
But practice there and then start to forgive other areas of your life.
Because, it's funny you say we have to tell ourselves to make up a good story,
right?
Because it's so easy. It is our natural instinct for our mind to make up a negative story, and we build on that. Rarely does our mind gives us positive stories that we can build on from the way we build on if it was something negative. Oh, it's traffic. So if it's traffic, that means I'm going to be late. If I'm going to be late, then that means I got to hear such and such mouth. And God, I can't stand her. So now you're already going to come in there with an attitude. You're already hot. Right. Just based on what your mind told you.
Yeah, and we are so good at creating bad stories or telling bad stories because we want to justify our victimhood. right? Okay, I have the right to be upset, and because they did this to me,
Right.
right? And
External sources.
there was a quote by Gandhi that I love, and the quote is that nobody can hurt me without my permission, right? If someone hurt you or did something to you, or they affected how your energy, that's because you gave them permission to do that, right?
Yep. What's the thing? People treat you exactly how you tell them you want to be treated.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So I think the main thing that I'm getting from this show is that what we see in the world, our kids, how they live out life, move out life, act in life, how they dress, how they talk, everything they do is based on us, the man. That's why it's our fault.
Yep.
Right.
It's our fault.
That's why if our kids are out there doing dumb stuff, we gotta look at ourselves. Okay, what did I do as to cause that to happen?
Exactly.
Because it's and there are some out there, some anomalies. What's that word?
Anomalies.
I got you. That, okay, you know what? I was a great parent, but this person just went sideways. But that's not common.
That's not common. And that's not the majority.
No, it's not.
That is the minority.
Anomaly. Got it.
Anomaly.
Anomaly.
Yep. But these are it is our fault. And these are some of the things that we think about. We think about these things like, is the way I'm dressing going to be helpful to my son? And seeing me wear all of this red, is that going to be?
So I want you guys to ask this man in the comments that he is a Chiefs fan, right? Kansas City Chiefs
fan,
and
Houston Rockets fan,
right? And
Dodger fan.
He does not like the color red. Now, ask this man. Don't ask a question now.
Okay.
They're gonna ask in the comments. Okay. And then you respond, telling these people why you're a Chiefs fan, a Rockets fan, but don't like the color red. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I can't. Yeah. Well, that's easy. Why I don't like the color red.
Don't get into it now. I want you to answer in the comments. Okay.
I won't. I will definitely answer the comments about me and Red and our relationship, our estranged relationship. But
so what's first in closing?
No, we have a lot of some things we think about that I don't think females think about, as far as what to wear, how to speak, even how to drive.
Right.
I make it a point to there's a lot of different variables that we think about as men that we probably shouldn't think about, but that's why it's our fault, because we have a lot of responsibility as men, and which is why we created this space, because with all the responsibility, with all the things that we think about, and I'm sure we didn't even touch on all of them. We just touched on a small portion of that. But with all the things that we think about, it's important that we as men have an outlet. Right. It's important that we as men have a place where we can take that cape off, so that we can relax and be normal and breathe and be vulnerable, so that we can recharge that battery and go back out there and do all the things that we were doing before. So the reason why it's our fault is because we're men, but because we're men, we also need a place of peace. Because we're men, we also need a place to be vulnerable. Right. Because we're men, we need a place to be able to take our capes off. Right. So I'm glad we got into why it is our fault. So that's pretty much all I got, bro.
Yeah, same. I agree. I echo that. Did all that. That makes so much sense. So so as always, guys, thank you for watching The Truth About Him, the number one podcast for men's health and wellness. So stay tuned for more episodes, and again, ask us questions in the comments, because a lot of what we create is based on your questions. A lot of what we do is based on your response. And this podcast is an outlet for Barron and I, but also for you. So please like, share, and subscribe. If anybody you need that needs this information, please share with them. All right. Absolutely. Until next time, guys, have an amazing week. Peace.